Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwash series. I have another amazing guest over here. We had an amazing conversation before we just jump into this interview. Is a really interesting person, and I'm really pumped to have her here and literally study her, how she actually get into entrepreneurship and how she sees the world, and how she sees actually what is broken inside of the world when it comes to all those patterns, stories, and what we've basically been taught since our young age. She's really interested when it comes to business because she's in a business for how many years? 10 years already now?
I
Is
mean,
it
I guess technically 10-ish
technically?
years, but when we were talking earlier, I was like, oh, wait, I guess my whole life I've been doing side hustles to make my own money.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting because like it's not really traditional way how child can be uh raised. I in my opinion, because this is not like from those people that I've been talking to, and even from my experience, this is like I've been the shy kid, like literally bullied all the time. Anyways, um, but she's really interesting when it comes to that for sure. But also she is helping people to actually get out of their way using AI solutions, basically design because we all know and I can see more and more that people are building a businesses or jumping into businesses that literally after a certain time they literally owns those people. People don't own those businesses, but the businesses actually own them. So without further ado, I'm really pumped to have you here and welcome to the show, Lauren Turton.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam. I'm excited to get into some interesting discussions today. As you were introducing me, I was thinking about, oh my gosh, so many things. I turned 40 this month, so I've been reflecting a lot
Well,
on my
you
life. And
look
so this will
really
be
good on
this will be
40. Yeah.
oh, thank you, Adam. This will be a good conversation.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right. So before we dive into, any specific topics, for those people who don't know you and all the listeners, just give us who you are, please.
Thank you so much. Well, hello everyone. I'm Lauren Turton, and I am an American who's been living in Mexico for about 4 years. I am an entrepreneur, public speaker, published author, and I really value helping others in regards to not just scaling their businesses, but ultimately making their life as an entrepreneur better based off of all of the experiences that I have had and what I've learned over the years.
That's awesome. Love it. So I I know that there is more into your story than that. So let's go a little bit backwards and like let's start with how your childhood looked like. Are you from the traditional type of family where the whole goal or the path that they lead you towards is like the American dream in our country, like or in in the Europe we are calling, or I would say I call it European dream. It's the same shit anyway. So yeah, go ahead.
I had a really, really interesting upbringing. My mom is actually an immigrant to the United States from Japan. And so I
Nice.
grew up in a household that had very high standards and very, very hard work ethic in my family. My mom is a dental hygienist, or she was before she retired, and my dad is a road engineer. He was before he retired. They both just recently retired. And they were also whitewater rafting guides on the weekends. And so I had a really interesting upbringing where I saw my parents doing the 9 to 5, but also on the weekends, they had these side jobs that allowed them to make money while they were doing their passions. And so that for me was like a really unique lens perspective to grow up with. And although I did grow up in that time period, I graduated high school in 2004, where it was like instilled in everyone. All elder millennials will probably relate to this, that you graduate high school, you go to a university, you graduate, you get the job, you get married, you have kids. I did grow up in that time period, and that was all around me. But I didn't follow that path. I graduated high school and then I moved to the West Coast And I did have the intentions of going to university, but I kept dropping out. And
Mm,
I dropped out probably 3 or 4 times from schools on the West Coast. And I would just get by working in restaurants, any other side jobs I could get, babysitting, nannying, working retail. And then I realized, oh, I don't have enough money. I need to move back to Ohio. So I moved back to where I was from. And same thing, I kept trying to enroll in school and then I just wouldn't go. And I found that for me, what worked better was actually working. And I was able to do decent by working in the restaurant industry. Because, in the US, we make tips. And so I was able to work as a server, as a bartender, different ways in the restaurant industry to make money. I would have side hustles where I would clean houses and do different things like that. And ultimately, that's what led me into becoming an actual entrepreneur down the line.
very interesting. Do you know why? Because I've been insane, exactly in the same. Like we moved from Czech Republic. This is my origin country. We moved
Mhm,
to England. Even though I didn't go to college, I finished my high school. It was electrical engineering.
mhm,
Uh, but the things that I've been studying there wasn't really working in here. So what we end up doing is being in restaurants
mhm.
and hotels and so on. So I know what is it like,
Yeah.
and yeah. So, but seeing that struggle and leading, even though that I moved to the different country, it literally led me back to the same path as I been. Even though I thought that the different country gonna actually solve that issue, right? That I don't want to I'm not gonna be in the same, uh, on the same path like my parents.
Mhm,
But that wasn't the case, right? I had to completely change the way that I've been thinking and everything like that. And that was a time when I stopped actually thinking about being employed, but doing something on the other side, being on the
mhm.
business, right? So
Yeah.
when you said about um you being always different, or you didn't want to fit into the status quo, why was that? What is the reason actually for you?
For me, when I look back and I think about like, why did this happen? Why were you always like, my uncle has said recently, like, you always march to the beat of your own drum. The why behind that is because I'm just a very curious person. And I always knew that, well, if somebody else is doing it, why can't I figure out and do it? And I've always had the like figure it out mindset. And also, I get bored really easily. So it was like, okay, well, I'm working at the grocery store right now at 16, and I just found out that I can make 25 cents more per hour. I'm at 5.15 an hour right now. Well, what do I got to do to make more money? Okay, cool. I got to go cross train in that department. Great. I'm going to go do that. And that's just always how my mindset has been. Even when I was a server and a bartender, it was, well, how can I make more money? Social media had come out back then, and I was like, oh, I just got to friend request these people on Facebook, and then post a status about when I'm working, what the specials are, or send them a personal message and say, hey, Bob, come see me at lunch today. Like I've always had that, like, well, what's next mindset, and I know I got that from my parents. That was a really good value that they instilled in me. And so that allowed me to say, well, okay, what else is out there? There's other things happening. Why do I have to do just one thing when I know that there's other people that are doing more things? And just being curious and open minded, and also not caring what other people thought about me.
Mm,
Fortunately, I've never had that where I like, oh, I care what other I just had never had that. And that probably comes from my mom. She's a very unique, strong-willed person where she doesn't care what other people think about her. I mentioned earlier that my parents are whitewater rafting guides on the week. They were whitewater rafting guides on the weekend. Like that was a very unconventional thing to do with your kids, you know? That's like
yes.
not normal to do that when you have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so those types of things have just always been in my life, which has allowed me to be open-minded, be curious, to figure it out, and to know that there's just endless possibilities in this world.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. You know, yeah, people, this is the thing, like we are all taught, think small, being just being okay, being leverage, average, not
Mhm.
leverage. Those type of, ideas that are literally like fixed or how to express this properly, like literally into us, right? And this is for me like it all become right from from the school, like young age, being in the school and so on. Like it was pretty tough time there for sure. Like for
Hmm.
me, it was like horrible. I was like, oh, like I cannot wait how when I'm gonna get out from there. Like so much.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really like if you look at back even these days, people still are taught the same things that we've been taught at the age I've been in a school, which is pretty crazy with AI and
Hmm.
everything what's going on. Like that's insane, right?
It is. And
Do you have kids actually, or do you?
I don't have kids. I don't have kids. I have dogs. So no, I don't have children. I have dogs. And if I did have kids, I feel like I would probably raise them in a unique way like my parents did. And I don't want to paint this picture that it was like easy going for me or anything like that. Like, believe me, it was a struggle for many, many years. And I've had, like most entrepreneurs, where it's like things go up for a while and then they come down, and they go up and then they come down. Then they're kind of stabilized and they're not. Like, it's definitely been a journey, and I'm still on that journey. I would say mentally, a thing that I had to break through is when I was enrolling in college and dropping out for years,
Mhm,
because I had many attempts. Um, that was a really hard time for me because I would look at the people my own age and it's like they already got their degree and now they're
mhm,
getting the job and they're getting engaged and they're getting married. And like I didn't do any of that. And that I do remember in like my early mid 20s was a really hard thing for me to overcome because I was just surrounded by people who were doing that. But in
mhm,
my, or people that I knew were doing
mhm,
that. But then in my existence, that wasn't happening. So
mhm,
that was a thing that like I really had to mentally break through. And then the other thing too, which has been interesting to go through, is like there has been this new wave where people are having children later, but I'm almost 40 and it's like
mhm,
I don't have kids, and that definitely goes against social norms. And so that also has been a thing to really navigate and see like, oh, that is still something that's so ingrained in people to
mhm,
like have children and
mhm,
do that route. And I haven't done that route. And so that's also been a thing where I've had to be like, oh, that's an interesting thing to go through to see like if that's something I want to do with my life or not do with my life, just because it's ingrained in us.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. So you said you're 40, and are you planning to have kids actually, or you don't?
I mean, Adam, I'm at the deciding point over here with that.
Interesting. Okay.
I will say for me, it wasn't something I ever wanted to do until I started living in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
And I saw the lifestyle here in Mexico and the culture, and it's completely different than the US in
Yeah.
regards to having a family, community-based culture. Living here has been the first time in my life where I ever would consider it. But before I moved here, it was a hard no. So that's an interesting thing too to go through.
Interesting.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
It's a lot.
No, because like I would love to see like what is your perspective? How will you raise your kids in this type of environment? Like literally, because like this is really intense intense topic, because like when it comes to there is not many people talking about it, I think also. And you like a woman, and like in and you don't have like you're not having kids, but in either way, like I'm not having that many actually women entrepreneurs in here on the show like that
Hmm.
much. So it's like it's really interesting topic, because like men's have different perspective on than
Yeah.
women when it comes to that, right? And like it would be interesting to actually hear from you, like how would you actually raise them? What would be different from the traditional path that you've been raised, for example? Have you thought about it even?
Oh, yeah, of course I've thought about it because again, it was really surprising about a year or two ago when all of a sudden I was like, oh, I would have a kid. And I'm like, what? You've never wanted to have one. And so it was like, well, where is this coming from? What's happening? And
Interesting.
again, it goes to living in a country that is a community-based country
Uh-huh.
where people care about other people. In the US, it's a very like singular mindset of like, how can I get ahead? How can I move forward? It's all about the individual. Whereas here in Mexico, it's about the collective and it's about the community. And so I said, oh, this is different. Also in Mexico, kids go with their families everywhere,
Mhm.
everywhere. Whereas in the US, it's like, oh no, I can't go out to dinner with you guys. I have my kids. Well, here the kids go everywhere and they're at the parties late until the night and they find somewhere for the kids to sleep. It's normal here. So that was another thing too, where I was just like, oh, it's just a completely different culture. Um, Also, I think it's such an amazing thing to speak more than one language. And
Mhm.
so that would be something very great to have here is like your kid would grow up speaking English, they would grow up speaking Spanish, and they would just be exposed to so much more than back in the States. Like
Yep.
for me, there's a lot of benefits to having a kid in
You speak
Mexico
Spanish?
versus I it's pretty decent, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
So yeah, I think for me it would be like, oh, there's a lot of opportunity here in regards to having a kid. And where I live specifically in Cabo San Lucas, we have an amazing outdoor scene here, and I'm
Mhm.
very adventurous. I do extreme sports. So being able to raise them in an
I saw
environment where I know
I
I'm
saw
like,
you, yeah, I saw you all the time snorkeling or diving or like
uh-huh.
literally like or buying like really interesting type of clothes like holy
Hmm.
smokes like okay I was like this person's gonna be interesting to have on the show. So like
Yes,
how that
it's all
actually get
true.
like who are like when it comes to that who are you like when it comes to like this type of uh what do you like when it like this type of different type like you are it's not really traditional way of dressing up and so on like this is like real you are really like yourself and I love it because like when it comes to um yeah every person is different and is unique and everybody is perfect are you actually are you religious at all or you don't.
I grew up in a very, very extremely religious family. Christian, Assemblies of God, Pentecostal, and that's been a journey to go through to figure out where I am at with religion, spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
and in that situation. I've had to deconstruct a lot because of the very strict upbringing I had for that. And so, whereas now is like, yes, I identify that there's a higher power. Do I necessarily think it's tied to one religion? No. I think
Okay.
all religions bring value and have something interesting to bring to the table. Um, Again, that was a
Have you
very
studied
that was a thing I had to what?
okay, yeah. Have you studied about religions like at all? Have you been even curious about it? Like, just I'm curious.
Oh yeah, I've had to because when I technically like left the church when I was about 18 years old,
Okay.
and then from there went through like a whole phase where I was like, I want nothing to do with religion. I
Yeah.
this is not good, just because of the way that things went down in my life with the denominations that I grew up in. And then I would say it
Mhm.
was like in my early 30s that I decided to like, well, let me investigate and see what I actually think about all of this. And that was another thing. Like I had to like deconstruct, relearn, evaluate, and figure out where I stand with all of
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
now. And
But like it did it affect you the way like how you've been
yeah,
what you've been yeah a lot okay interesting
big time, big
okay
time because
can you give can you
it
give us yeah
yeah.
can you give us something yeah
Well, my family is still very, very involved in the church and very religious. And so there's sometimes things that come up where I'm like, no, this is what I think and feel about this topic. And they're completely on the other side of things. And so that's
mm,
created some situations there. And I've had to get to the point with other topics where I know my family won't agree and actually will look down on me or say things to me that are pretty intense. And just having
yeah
to accept, okay, this is who I am as a person, and this is what I think, what I feel, what I believe, and that is okay. It is valid and it is real. And that's
mm,
not easy to do.
yeah
Um,
100%
it's not
especially
easy
like
to do.
yeah 100% I can we just have to be okay with not being understood.
Yeah, and that's a thing I think all entrepreneurs really need to understand is when it comes to your personal life and things that are happening in your world that you might not realize in the beginning relate to your business, it all does relate to your business. Actually, I think being an entrepreneur is the most intense way to face yourself, even more so than when you're in a relationship, because people often say when you're in a relationship, that's when you really face yourself. No, I disagree. I think it's when you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, there it's just nothing but you and yourself against the world.
Yep.
And all of your stuff is going to come up. Your past trauma, your relationships that aren't good right now, your relationships that weren't okay in the past, all of that is going to come bubbling up at some point on your journey. And you really have to face all of that. And it's intense and it's overwhelming. It can be really scary. That's why having like a good support system as an entrepreneur is crucial. Having a good community, having a mentor, having other friends who are entrepreneurs as well, or groups that you're in where you have like good acquaintances is super important because it is a lot to navigate
Mm-hmm.
all of this.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we go, because there is lots of question now, because I would like, when it comes to participating in groups and so on, like, we can talk about that. But before we go there, back to the question of where this you of being like dressing up this way and like having
Okay.
this type of different opinions and so on, like where did that came from?
I am thankful that in my household, my mom was all about looking nice, doing your hair, doing your makeup, always having like good outfits on. That was something that she instilled in us is like, even if you don't have a lot of money, still make the effort, even if it's going to a thrift store and buying the right things and knowing yourself in regards to like what looks good on you, what colors look good on you. And she always made us look nice before we left the house. And I think that's really important because you never know who you're going to run into when you're outside. And so that's something that I've always done my whole life. Now, taking it to the next level in regards to I wear bright colors, I wear funky outfits, I predominantly wear pink, and that's for branding purposes. I think that fashion is a form of art and art is the ultimate expression.
So
So making sure that I am wearing outfits that, look good on me, are presentable, but also like leave a statement. Like when I go
mm,
outside and walk, like you're going to see my outfit and be like, oh yeah, like that girl she looks nice today. And if you see me multiple times in the neighborhood where my office is, eventually you're like, oh yeah, that's that girl that usually wears pink.
oh
It's
yeah.
true. And then from there, people expect that with your personal brand. And I learned
Mhm.
this years ago when I really started getting into public speaking. I wore a bright pink pantsuit on stage and I got such a good reaction from it. And then the next time I was booked to speak on a big stage, people messaged me and like, are you wearing pink again? And I was like, uh, yes. And they were like, oh, great. We wanted to see you in pink again. And I was like, what? Okay. And then I did it. And then people were like, oh my God, you're wearing pink, Barbie, things like that. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. This is like a personal branding moment and I need to run with it. So that's the other
Love it.
thing with it too, is there's some strategy behind it in regards to like my personal brand and wearing pink, but also wearing outfits that stand out because I know people remember it, but also for my own happiness, it's like, I'm expressing myself in an art
Mm,
form, which is fashion.
love it, love it, love it. Yeah. Um.
Look, I have a pink water bottle. That's not by accident, Adam.
Yeah. Was it always pink for you? Like even oh my gosh. Okay. Everything. Okay. Was it like something that you like just since you've been
It
young?
actually no, it was an accident. It was just that one event where I bought a hot pink suit. And then, like I said, people started messaging me, and I was like, well, they noticed it. It wasn't me, but I'm going to run with it. Yes, I love the color, but I
Yeah.
recognize that I was like, wait, if people are picking up on this and this is a thing, then go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. This is awesome. Yeah, there is not really many people. I well, actually, I have one guy who's actually dressing orange all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So this
And you
is
just remembered him out of all of
mm,
the people you've interviewed. You're
oh yeah,
like, wait, there's the guy who wears
so true.
orange.
Yeah, yeah, so true. Very cool. Okay, so how did you get into public speaking? Is it something
Public
that you've been
speaking,
passionate? Maybe.
public speaking is really, really important as an entrepreneur. And I
Mm-hmm.
encourage anyone who has not stepped into that yet to figure it out. I
Mm-hmm.
recognized early on that, wait a minute, if you can be on a stage and speak one to many, whether it's, on a podcast like this, we're speaking one to many. This is a form of public speaking, in my opinion. Or you're putting out lives on your Facebook or your Instagram streams, that's speaking one to many. Speaking one to many is everything. And then when you take it to the next level by actually being seen in public on a stage, it amplifies you and boosts your authority to
Mhm.
everyone there. And
Mhm.
so I am someone who is outgoing, who is a good speaker, but I realize I need help. So I invested the money maybe like 8, 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, in a coach for
Mhm.
public speaking on how to
Mhm.
craft my signature talk, how to deliver my signature talk, how to book clients from on stage. And I did a whole program on that.
Mhm.
And with that program, it included getting you up on a stage. And then from there, I just said, okay, this is something that I have to pursue and I have to do. And it's changed my life, changed my life. And yes, I still get nervous with public speaking. Yes, I still have anxiety. Yes, my one hand sometimes uncontrollably shakes and I have to like grab the microphone, but I still do it because it
Right.
drastically changes your life as an entrepreneur, as being a public speaker.
Interesting. I've never like, of course, like because I'm coming from the ClickFunnels world and so on. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was the beginning of pretty much everything for me. Just watching Russell doing his stuff. So I understand that, but I've never take it so like super seriously. I was like always more like the behind the scenes guy, and then like I figured out that it's actually like really important to be in front of the camera and like connect with people. It's so important.
Your next step, Adam, and anyone who's listening that has not done this yet, get yourself speaking on a stage. And it can be as simple as hosting your own meetup at a
Mm-hmm.
coffee shop. 5 people attend, and you take a moment to stand up and deliver a talk to them. It can be that simple as your first time speaking on stage. Another great way to get booked on stages is to reach out to local groups in your community, like I don't know, a Rotary Club or a local business networking group, and just saying like, hey, when's your monthly meetup? Can I come talk to you about whatever you're an expert in? And you'd be surprised. You just start reaching out to people, and it doesn't matter where you're speaking at. I remember after lockdown happened in California and they started opening things back up again, I was like, I have to get back on stages. I reached out to a Rotary Club, which was all geriatrics. I'm talking like 70+ year olds. And I was like, okay, well, that's who's there. I talk about how to create content on social media. How in the world I'm going to talk to these people? So Adam, I reached out to the organizer and I was like, I want to come speak. And she was like, but on what? And I was like, I don't know. Ask them what they want to learn about social media. And it was interesting because they wanted to learn how to use Facebook to better connect with their family members.
It's
So I
really
created a
good.
whole talk. I created a whole talk on how to do that and
I was like,
presented it
yeah,
for
I
like
was like,
45 minutes to a group of old people.
I
But
was
you
like
know what
imagining,
happened?
I was like imagining what you would be talking about social media
I
uh,
I just
strategies, how to grow a. Oh my gosh,
I Adam, I
insanity.
put together a whole thing for them, and it was fascinating because they all were sitting there like on their phones. They're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I know what to post. Now I know what to say. I gave them like templates that they could use on like how
Mm,
to make a proper post on what their day was about. And what's interesting is that the content that I got from that, it was just a video of me up on stage, and it was like the heads of the people in the back of the room. And if you looked, you would see that it was all old people. But if you didn't really look, you would just see Lauren speaking on stage in front of a group of people.
mhm,
So that was one of my first pieces of content that came out as me being back as a public speaker when things opened up in California. And I was able to use that and be like, I'm back on stage. It didn't matter that I was speaking to that group of people. It was amazing that I was able to help them. But
mhm.
from like a logistics and strategy point of view, it was a way to get me back on stage and speaking again. And so again, like for you, for anybody else who is listening, like just make the move of booking your own event or getting booked on local community events. most libraries let you host events for free at the library. So like just book a room and get people in there and get on stage. And then from there, people are going to see that on your social media and they start reaching out to you because
Mm,
now you're a public speaker.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. That's really
hmm
interesting. Okay.
hmm
So, have you been always, when it comes to like that type of planning to be a public speaker, or was it like really like you figured it out during the way of like, starting and trying to do different type of businesses and so on? Like, what was actually um, what did prompt you to go that way?
I just knew that if all of the great people in business were doing it, I had to do it too. And it was the
Mm,
next step. So that's
mm-hmm,
when I invested in the money and coaching on that and
mm-hmm.
decided to take it seriously. And again, Adam, it's changed my life. I've been booked on stages around the world
Yeah, yeah.
and flown out to places and paid good money to speak
Mm-hmm.
on stage. Um, but I did invest the money to get like training, how to understand how to do it, and all of that. But even without that, everyone go for it because it will change your business and it will change your life.
Interesting. Okay, very cool. Yeah, because um I've, my my biggest focus is literally like being always like one to one most of the time, like getting
hmm
really good at selling.
hmm
Especially like it's still like it's a process for sure, like it's still going through, and studying and so on. But the thing is that I'm that type of person. I love studying and just like,
hmm
educating myself all the time, and that's literally what this school didn't haven't been able to teach us, but I had to learn it myself. um but also like getting, around the right people, and just
Yes,
having
that's
this
so
podcast.
important too.
Yeah, having this podcast and being able to talk to people like you and other people like other experts is so powerful. It's just like it's
It's so
so
powerful.
insane. Yeah.
And obviously, you're doing it with your podcast, but for anyone who's listening that hasn't done interviews like this, it is another great way to amplify yourself and to raise your authority. I had a podcast back in 2021, 2022 in the crypto space, and I was one of the first women to be with a podcast on this particular topic in the crypto space. And I was like, well, I don't know all the answers. I'm just going to interview other people that know the answers. And that podcast went wild. I was in a very niche, specific industry, one of the only women. And just by reaching out to interviewing people, I was getting big names because the industry was so small. And that was another way, too, to like connect with people that I would have never been able to connect with and to get my name out there and get connected with more people. I'm sure you've seen this as a result of your show. But for anyone who's not doing interviews, this is another great way to get your business to the next level.
100%. And even train yourself in speaking, actually. Like
Yeah.
for me it's like, this is the easy step to go for. Like you literally interviewing other people. If you are great in talking, or like I'm getting more and more comfortable, 100%, like it's all the time a journey, right? And then like once you get really good at like interviewing people, then people start like inviting you to be interviewed also, and
Yes.
then like the next step is actually going on the stages, probably because of running your webinars and so on, right?
hmm
um but yeah, this is like it's really it's better to go with smaller step, I would say, than actually going and jumping into something a huge, like, bigger step. Than we agree on that.
I would say I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of the person I'm like, just go for it.
Okay.
Like, just go for it. Like plan
Mm-hmm.
your first event, have people there, and just go for it in regards to public speaking, but don't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just do it. Even if there's only one other person that shows up to your first meetup, you have one person to take a video of you talking, people on your social media don't know how many people you're talking to. And then from there, it's like, oh, just a public speaker.
Yeah, yeah, love it. Okay, really cool, really cool. Yeah, people have the tendency of overthinking lots of things. Yeah, I'm completely agree on that. And I had the problem too, like multiple times, And you probably could see it also. I don't know if in your opinion, like in your case, but I'm guessing that you did too. But also like because you coach so many people from like working with other people already, right? So when it comes
Have
to
you,
that, what you can see, like the biggest problems that are happening, like
oof,
for example for coaches, like in that area, not just for coaches, but like in that area of when it comes to business, what would you like? Yeah, what would be what was the biggest issue that people are actually like are stuck?
great question. So, for a little bit of context, I have been in the business coaching space for many, many years at this point, and I've had my own company where I coached countless clients under my name, and then I was contracted by a larger coach named Andrew Cruzy, and I was the client success manager there for about a year, a little over a year, and I probably managed, I don't know, 75 to 100 clients
Mm,
under that company. With that company, I had clients that I was managing who were just starting out. Maybe they were doing like 10 to 15K per month. And then we would have clients that are doing 300K per month.
mhm,
And it didn't matter where they were at in regards to their monthly sales, monthly revenue, whether they were over here at the beginning or they were over here at like 300K per month. I was still getting on calls with people from this side to this side and in the middle. And one of the biggest concerns was
ooh,
their
okay.
content for social media. Yeah, that was always a thing that I would be like, oh man, this
Mm,
guy's doing 300K per month and he still is needing help in regards to the content that he's putting out. And so I think that's a really cool takeaway because when working with people who were at like the 10 to 15K a month per mark, they had that concern, yet somebody who's doing 300K per month also had that concern. And so,
mm,
what did it come down to with their confident or
mhm,
their content? I just said the word confidence. It was the confidence in their content that never went away, no matter how
mm,
much they were doing per month. And so, the takeaway from there is like just put the content out there,
mm,
put it out there, and then later analyze what's working and what's not working. For example, yesterday we put a piece of content out that I thought the copy was great. I thought it was going to resonate with people. We did not get one comment or one DM from it.
mm,
And I was like, oh, that means I need to go back and review the copy and see what didn't make sense, what didn't align, why didn't it call people out, like what's the story there? And if I wouldn't have put that piece of content out, then I wouldn't have known that it didn't work. And it's okay if it doesn't work. Go
mhm,
back and figure out what's going to make it work. But if you don't ever put anything out, then you can never go back and optimize it. So it's just like, just put it out there and see what happens.
yeah, yeah.
Because the other
Wow.
thing is with content, I put content out where I really didn't think much of it. And then it's something that like really resonated with people.
Mhm,
So it's just a matter of like, just do it. You have to get out of your mind, like, who cares what other people think? Who cares if it works, if it doesn't work? You're never going to know.
you said that you've been always that way, right? Like, don't really caring about people, like what they think about. Like, I mean, yeah, right? Yeah, and
Yeah, I pretty much
okay,
my
so
whole life have been that way. Like, and, you know, of course, I'm a human. Like, there's stuff that comes in every now and then where I'm like, "Ugh." But in general, I really don't care what other people.
mm, so what is actually going in your head when somebody is literally like trying to put you down and so on? Like when it comes to that self confidence.
I think for me, what has come up is not necessarily like people talking behind my back, but like I know because I do things in a unique way, a non-traditional way. I know people are saying things about me. And that's something that used to really bother me until I realized that if it's an actual situation or problem that you have with someone, it doesn't matter if they're like talking about you behind your back
Mhm,
because that's a them problem, not a you problem. If it's something that really, really impacts you and that person, they're going to come to you and talk to you about it. So I don't care, Adam. I really don't. I don't care what other people think about me. If they're talking about me behind my back, again, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Now, if you bring
mhm,
it to me and we have to have a discussion about something that's going on, let's have a discussion about it. We're all adults here.
mhm,
And if it's anything more than that, then it's like, well, again, that's a you problem, not a me problem. That's the
mhm,
way that I look at it, as I'm like, if that's your prerogative and that's what you have going on to like have something to say about me but not bring it to my face, then it's like, well, what's going on with you? Because I'm triggering something with you, but that's not actually
mhm,
me. That's
mhm,
you. So that's been a really good learning lesson in my life as well, is that how people respond or react to you has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what's going on with them.
With them. Interesting. Yeah. Because
Well,
like,
and I'll give you a good example, Adam.
mhm.
I have had it happen before where, I'm wearing a unique outfit and I've walked into a room and I have seen other women look at me and look at their friend and start talking about me. And it's like, well, who does she think she is? What does she think? Da, 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 da. Where a couple women away, they'll look at me and be like, "Oh my God, I love your outfit." you know so it's like
That's
group
insane.
group A
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like, okay, they're feeling self-conscious, they're not feeling good about themselves, they need to like put somebody else down, like
Yep.
that's what's going on with them, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Whereas the second group, they're feeling confident, they're feeling good, they're feeling energized, and that's what they're expressing out to the world. So that right there is like the perfect example of how group A reacted to me had nothing to do with me. It had to do with what's going on with them mindset wise. Same with group B. That had nothing to do with me. It had to do with them having like good self-esteem and good confidence. This is something that I did not learn until like I would say the last 5-ish years or so.
Hmm.
Because before I would have been like, oh no, what did I do to offend that person? Whereas now it's like, it has nothing to do with me, how you're reacting to me or responding to me. Again, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And that
Hmm.
that could be a good takeaway for some people who are listening right now is remembering that when people respond or react to you, remember it's what's going on with them. It doesn't have to do with you.
When it comes to the environment and you've been even like talking about um partnering with other people when it comes to business, because like there's
Oof.
lots of lots of beliefs in entrepreneurship that you it has to be a lonely game, right? A lonely journey, like for people and so on. So your experience is a little bit different, right? You probably like to hang out with more people in one of the business because like that's how goes the business even like further or maybe even faster. I don't
Yeah,
know. Let's talk about
I'd
that.
love to I'd love to share on this topic. So I have had my own business for many years, and I took a break for a little bit because I was going through a really hard time in life, and then I came back out into the business world as a more of an independent contractor. And after that, I decided, okay, I do want to have my own business again, but what do I do and what do I not want to do? And I made a
Mm,
list of all of the things that I didn't want to do. Well, if I don't want to do all of those things, who's going to do it? And I said, okay, I need a business partner, I need a co CEO.
mm,
Because I realized in the past where my businesses didn't move forward is because I was spread too thin and I was
mm,
doing things that I wasn't good at. And so
mm,
I said, I'm not going to do this again. It was like a year ago, and I was like, I'm going into my 40th birthday. I need to be realistic.
mm,
This is my last run as a business owner. I'm not doing this again. I will do it with a business partner, a co CEO.
mm,
And fortunately, that person in my life, his name is Caleb Roberts. We've known each other for about 5 years. And when we decided to open a Studio Creativo, we said, okay, how are we going to do this? And then I said my part where I said, listen, I know that I need to focus on this, this, and this in the business because this is what I'm amazing at. But this, and this, I don't have those skill sets. And in the past, I've dropped the ball on my own business and I wasn't able to move things forward because I literally can't do those things. And if I
mm,
attempt them, it's wretched and
mm,
it doesn't work.
mhm,
So I was just crystal clear on the things that I'm good at, that I love, that I'm passionate about, and being able to focus on those. And fortunately, he offsets those things.
mm,
And same with him. He identified, I want to make sure I stay in this zone of genius. I'm doing this, this, and this. And it offsets what I bring to the table. So we made sure to have these discussions before we started the business about who does what and who manages what. Yeah, sure. Sometimes we need to step in and help each other and meet in the middle on some things and say, like last week, there was something where he was like doing client fulfillment and we had like more of a tech project that we needed to get done. And I don't like doing that, but I jumped in and said, yes, I know how to do this. I'm going to help do this.
Hmm.
It had been months since I've done something like that, so it was very taxing. But of course, I'm a team player. I am going to jump in when I need to. But because we were so specific about how our roles were defined as co-CEOs, we've been able to do so much more in this business than I would have been able to do by myself. And we don't have overwhelm on either side of things because it's all just divided up in the right way.
Yeah, you have to be really strategic when it comes to that. Don't you think? Like you shouldn't be like two people doing the same things or be having the same
No,
skill sets probably, right? Because
no.
that won't work, right?
Mm-mm.
Because like then you are like literally stepping into the zone of genius basically for each other. Everybody has different perspective when it comes to, for example, the same thing also, and
Hmm.
can like leads to really bad situation. Um,
Agreed.
but
You have to
100% agree.
have you have to have obviously common interests,
Yeah.
similar interests. Duh, you have to have like the ultimate end goal together.
Hmm.
And then from there, it's okay. Here are my skill sets that I bring to the table that I love doing. Here are yours. Okay, they complement each other
Yep.
and we're able to meet in the middle. So it's not just going to be necessarily the first person you meet or you encounter that's like, yeah, you're my business partner. No, you might have to go through different situations and different scenarios until you find the right person. But once you do and you decide like, hey, we're doing this, like neither of us are going to give up on each other, neither of us are going to quit on this business. We're going to hold each other accountable. We're going to lift each other up with maybe you have health problems or I have health problems. We're doing this as a unit, as one. That's when things can get really powerful. And I'm really proud of the business that Caleb and I have created because we've done some pretty crazy stuff and
Mhm.
not only being open as a company for a year.
So was it like the reason why you step out was literally like because you've been handling a lot of stuff on your own and like that led you to like some health issues, or was it like that was the reason, or it was completely different?
Oh, a couple years ago, I went through a really, really hard breakup. And I said, you know what? I cannot be a business owner anymore. I don't want to do this right now. I can barely support myself mentally and emotionally. I need to take a break. And I took a break and I went and sold timeshare sales at a really nice resort here in the town I live in. I was a caregiver for a lady with dementia, and she lived with me full time for over a month until I could find her the proper facility that she needed to go to. And then after that was like, okay, I took 6 to 8 months off of being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. And that's when I got back into the game.
It makes sense. Okay. Really
Hmm.
cool. So now what is the vision for you? Like where we going? Where you going?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's really, really exciting. So we have two different divisions here at Studio Creativo. We have our client facing side that Caleb and one of our co-founders, Mario, manage. They're on the tech side of things. They're the
Mhm.
ones that handle all of our client build outs. They're the ones that handle our online community. They're over on that side of the world in the business. And then I handle our give back community and education department. So what that looks like is I'm a very active member of the business association here where I live. And it's been rumored next term I'll probably have a position with the business association. So that's really exciting because we're doing a lot of work with the city here. This region needs a lot of support in regards to education, more awareness for the nonprofits that are here. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to contribute my time, my energy, and our services to these different organizations and entities in town. I also think it's very, very important as a technology company to be able to help offset what tech does for the environment. So we've also partnered with a local nonprofit here that specializes in supporting the land, sea, and environment here. And we're also all about education. So we've also partnered with a school here to provide free education for them around AI, different things in that world as well. So those are all the projects that I work on and that I move forward in the business. And then the other thing that I work on is we are in fundraising mode right now. And we are fundraising because we want to create a larger product. We
Mhm.
want to create something that could, potentially be a go-to-market product, and that's something that I'm working on. We're all about data And we're all about leveraging data to properly make the decisions in your business. And that's what our larger project looks like. So that's the stuff that I work on is like, community, give back education, and then getting the funding that we need for the larger project.
Interesting. Yeah, and
Yeah,
100%. Data is everything. Like for 100%. Like, yeah, it's so like I'm surprised that some people they just don't understand that literally like if you don't have data and to be able to run a business profitably, like and understand each of the piece, and they just like trying to guess what is gonna be happening. It's like it's so crazy to me. Anyway,
it's crazy.
um, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just insane. Um, so I have a last question then for you now. When it comes to business, or maybe even uh your life, what is the thing that you are the most passionate about when it comes to like helping people, maybe even, and so on?
So one of the things that happens is people have in their mind that I don't want to work for anybody else. I just want to work for myself. I want to have my own business. And then they go into being an entrepreneur. But essentially, what they created for themselves was their own job and they're their own employer. And I love to help people who are in that position get out of it by setting up the right systems, having the right tools, whether they're AI driven or not, so that they can like get out from being their own now employee to like actually owning their business and doing what they want to do with starting their own business, which really looks like time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom. That's typically why people start their own business. If you don't set things up properly with the foundation of your business, with systems and automations and things like that, then you're not going to achieve any of those three things. And so for me, it's a matter of, okay, yeah, you own your own business, but what's the bottlenecks right now? Where are you stuck? What's happening? Oh, okay, well, that's why you're still working 50 to 60 hours a week. And none of us started our own business to work 50, 60 hours a week. Now, I know everyone's like, I would rather work 50, 60 hours a week for myself than anybody else. But like, how long can you really do that for? You
Mm,
can't. You're going to burn out and you're probably going to go end up getting a job elsewhere, or you're going to keep doing that and you're not going to be a happy person. So bringing that to light is really important for me. And then just letting people know there are solutions to all of this so that you can have that, you know, 10-hour work week, that 15-hour work week, that time freedom that you wanted to actually be able to now go on the vacation with your family. Now have the extra money in case there's an emergency and you have to fly somewhere and you can't work for the next week or so. I think that's really, really important in the land of entrepreneurship for people to realize where they're at with their business. And once they identify, oh shit, oh shoot, I'm still working for myself, I just happen to have a job for myself. And once they realize that, it's like, okay, how do I get out of that?
so powerful. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It was a pleasure to have
Thank you,
you.
Pat.
Totally. And where people can find you, like to connect with you.
Yeah, find me on Instagram at Lauren Turton, LaurenTurton. And if you want to get really into some fun conversations, find me over on my TikTok. I pop off over there on topics that you won't see me talk about on any other platform, and that's at Lauren Turton underscore, LaurenTurton underscore.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you. And for everybody who's listening, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now, guys.
Thank you. Bye for now.